I think the answer is twofold. One, a lot of it has to do with, I mean, we've all read these articles about Cheney and the reassertion of executive authority. There are those in this administration, there are those in the government who believe that a strong executive is the only thing that can keep us safe. I don't know whether they believe it truly or they believe it cynically because it furthers their purpose for other reasons. But they think that by asserting the widest scope of executive authority at the expense of judicial branch and, what's sad, at the expense of Congress. I mean, it is shameful what Congress has not done over the last 6 years. It's just shameful. I mean, there are senators, I mean, for Senator Byrd of West Virginia would go on endlessly. He has an idea that the Senate matters, the Congress matters, but for the last 6 years it hasn't. So I think what it is they just don't want to give an inch with the idea of executive authority. I would think, and more generally, it may have to do with their ideas of what their government is, what they want government to look like. In terms of what has been done to torture individuals in terms of application of drugs or other symptoms, I think we will find that out over the course of the years. The ACLU continues to file Freedom of Information Act requests. You know, there does appear to be evidence back in the 50s, you know, that we know that there were chemical experimentations. That's not anything we're focusing on immediately, but certainly with the idea of torture and with the idea of how you can treat somebody captive, how you can treat somebody who's in your custody and control, that would violate civil libertarian principles. So it's something I'm sure that will be examined.
You've seen Robert Greenwald's film that he did, I think called Iraq for Sale. There's a man who was in Abu Ghraib who claims he was given sterilization drugs.
Interesting. Yeah, I will tell you, it's interesting you mentioned Robert Greenwald. For those of you who are not who have not seen it, Robert Greenwald has actually teamed up with the ACLU. How many people saw the first season of Freedom Files?
Oh, they're great, guys. They're really wonderful.
They're available, the Freedom Files, and actually Freedom Files will be filming on June 26th. They'll be coming to DC with us. If any of you happen to know anybody who is personally involved, perhaps somebody who has a relative who was in an internment camp in the 1940s, perhaps somebody who is a relative of a Holocaust survivor, somebody who has a family member who is impacted, Freedom Files is actually looking for one of those stories. They'll be following one of those people as they come on the bus to DC. But Robert Greenwald's company, Brave New Films, is actually partnering with us on the season 2 of Freedom Files.
Pleasure.
Yeah, please.
I have a couple questions.